when you got out on Saturday, let me just what were you shocked? Can you put into words the emotions you had on Saturday?
It took a long while. On Saturday when I first got out, it took a little while to kind of set in. There was a lot of the emotions were tied up in the actual leaving. Because there's some people in there that you build a lot of close relationships with, and then leaving them behind, unfortunately, some of you may never see again. And so there was a lot of emotions, and then when it was actually coming out and then seeing my uncle and getting a chance to interact with him, it was just relief, relief, and uh, a little bit of kind of a stun kind of numbness, maybe a little bit, but um, just kind of like a major weight, a relief, and I guess really that's kind of the best way to describe it. It wasn't how I expected it to be. I kind of, you would think that maybe it's kind of typical, the overjoyed, yelling and screaming kind of stuff like that, but it was more just like the decompression. It's finally over, and that was a great feeling.
And I'm sure you're going to be on a little bit of a roller coaster, at least for a little bit, just getting acclimated. So you got out Saturday, today's Wednesday. What have the last 4 days been like? What have you been doing?
Uh, I've never been so busy in my life in these last 4 days. I've seen countless family members. They just, there were a lot of them that were kind of very cautious in doing like the COVID protocol type thing or whatever. That went right out the window. They're coming over, we're, hugging and interacting, the kids everywhere. And I've seen virtually every family member, except for I think one in like the first 2 days. And besides that, connecting with people, trying to get up to speed, with this technology, and getting things reset up. And it's been just from one thing to the other, whether it be family stuff, business stuff, and trying to get things squared away and set back up. And the help that I've gotten and the support from my family has been fantastic. It's better than I could have expected, and they just are thrilled to do it. And it's really, I'd be kind of cliche with like a dream come true, but I guess it really is.
Now, are you in Lakeland? Is that where your mom is, and that's where you are now?
No, I'm in Dade City in Pasco County.
Okay. And is your dad still living in Arizona?
Right now, no, he goes up and down the West Coast. Right now, he's in Northern California.
Okay. Have you seen your dad?
Yeah, I FaceTimed him when I first got out. I had to do a couple of obligations or whatever, and then I was able to FaceTime with my sister, who's in Montana. She just moved there a week before I got out. She moved to Montana. I mean, she was already built a house and all that kind of stuff. So this was all very sudden. It was like, just that close. And so I got to FaceTime with her, and of course my mom, my aunt, and then my dad as well. So those are some very emotional calls.
Yeah. Oh, I bet. I bet. When you look at your story, it's so complex. We're not even going to get into all of it, but I can't imagine how you stayed uplifted and you stayed positive. I feel like I would be so extremely bitter and angry. Did you go through that over the last decade and a half? How did you keep your mentality right?
I think I think I think the mentality, the important aspect of the mentality, and what helped me get through it was, developing a spiritual life, and starting to try to. I always had to try to make sense of, why, what was the purpose, what's, I needed, or I guess I still do in my life, is to kind of understand, like, what's the point of it all? What are we really doing here? Why is this important? Or, what am I supposed to learn here? And what can I gather from this? How can I take this and make the best of it? And so first coming in, it was like kind of the intense legal battle, the injustice of it all or whatever. then it developed into, understanding it spiritually. And then, it developed further into that. And, the outcry from the public and stuff kind of carrying on through there. But throughout the entire process, I just had this inner assurance. And, I know, the source and what it is, you know what I mean? I know that, that was, a message from, from God that was instilled in the Holy Spirit inside of me, letting me know that, I got you. Don't worry about this too much. And he assured me from the very beginning, you won't do the whole thing. And obviously I wanted that to be a whole lot less than it ended up being, but the assurance that I got from that was like, okay, well, in his time. And so there was a lot of times where I was like, all right, I'm ready to go. We got this all squared away, and it would, another setback or a delay or whatever. And that's when I started developing a little bit more of understanding, well, maybe it's not so much about when I'm ready, but maybe when other people are ready or other circumstances are ready, or there's more to the story before it comes to conclusion. So I think, the simple answer is understanding the situation of the things that were happening from a eternal perspective, a long-term perspective, and not a selfish or just how it affects me, what I would like, but more from this there's a purpose and a point to all this. And so I need to understand that and get in line with it instead of fighting it. So, any resentment or anything like that, no, that was never really a part of it. I mean, I never felt like it was, people or anything like that. It was more circumstances, my youth and my immaturity and my inability to deal with situations that I guess I couldn't process emotionally at times, that it caused me to make decisions that, had consequences. And so a lot of those things, it didn't really give room for that. It really kind of just provided fuel. It was like, I could spend a lot of time on that other stuff, but what's the point in that? You know what I mean? Who benefits from that?
So
And so
it's so interesting to hear you talk. It's inspiring. Then have you come up, like, could you tell me what was the purpose there? Do you think, have you found, like, or is that still an ongoing journey? Have you found a reason why maybe this happened to you?
uh yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that I needed it, if that sounds crazy or not, but I needed it because I needed time to figure out and understand who I was, who I am, and what things are really important to me, and where I wanted to go in my direction in life. And get the it was a great time out. And that's not a very popular idea in prison. But I would try to emphasize that too, to the guys that I would interact with and that had an ear to hear things like that. So, what, people on the street don't have the opportunity to do that. They're busy, they have jobs and careers, and kids, spouses, and obligations, and this, that, and the other thing. And who can really spend the time to really find out who they are, what they want to do, what they really want to enjoy in life. And they may be free, but they're not living. And I didn't want to be one of those people. And I found that, even when I would connect with people that were, obviously not in prison or anything, how kind of seemingly miserable they would be compared to how kind of excited I was about life, even though I was in prison. And so I was like, well, what's the difference here? What is that? It's not like I have, a whole lot going on here. This is, you know, repetitive, like a hamster on a wheel, day after day type stuff. But what was the difference in opinion? I think it was perspective. It was, getting the opportunity to develop and take what I had in front of me and make the best of it. But I think it was much more than that. Not just make the best of it. That sounds kind of like an excuse, but take advantage of it. Take advantage of the opportunity, because I have time to do all that other stuff now, especially, and but I won't have time to do those other things. I mean, in these, like you said, in 4 days, I mean, I've been so busy that some of those things that I used to value, unfortunately, I've taken a little bit of a back seat. And I'll definitely go back to them. But right now it's just a flurry of activity and interaction and people. And, I'm so excited about, the first night, everybody, they always are asking, what's the first thing you're going to eat? Well, I went home and I made sandwiches for my mom and my aunt, my uncle, and that's what I wanted to do. I mean, I didn't know that's what I wanted to do, but it was like, I don't want to go to some restaurant and see a bunch of strangers. I don't want to pick up fast food, or I don't want to do any of that stuff. It was like, whatever you guys got in the fridge, I want to make it, because I don't get to like do things like that. And so that was like the greatest thing to me, is to be able to do that and share that experience.
That's
So
amazing.
it's just perspective.
Wow. Oh, that's so cool to hear. Have you, so are you, how old are you now? 37?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's
Don't let
not
anybody
old.
know that.
No, that's not old. So listen, you do have the majority of your life ahead of you. I mean, that's the truth. And
Yes.
what's next for you? What are your hopes and dreams?
Wow, I have a lot of opportunities, but I'm always looking for more. I mean, things like these interactions and stuff like that are valuable to me, because I really like connecting with people, and building a network, and having people from a lot of different backgrounds doing different things and working together to accomplish purposes and goals. And so, you know, I you know I was able to make some plans and put some things in order from there, but the whole world's open to me now. This isn't, I'm not, basically kind of looking through a keyhole at life, hoping for an opportunity. This is, the whole world is full of opportunity. So I kind of been getting presented with different ones almost on a daily basis. And, minute by minute, different things come up, and, my, what it is that I'm going to do is ever evolving. And so, it's really going to turn out to be, what seems to be the best opportunity and the thing that I most want to do at the time. And to me, that's immensely exciting. I mean, the perspective change from, where I just came from and what I was just doing makes it where, the unknown is very exciting right now.
For sure. And you'll be able to, you said there's been opportunities already. Like, are you talking like career opportunities and that kind of thing? You're just starting to explore that.
Right. I mean, I've been in contact with people with, that I had worked with before, you know, reestablishing connections. And it's almost like, every avenue or door for the most part is open again, if not enhanced or better. And, um, it's not necessarily right now of, there's nothing like settling for, whatever's available, which would kind of be the, I guess, what people would think. But it's more like, what best fits. And so, yeah, work opportunities, and housing opportunities and engagement with people, and whether it be, normal employment, or, um, you know, I've got a friend that hooked me up, and their family's got a cable installation. They're contractors for Comcast down in Pompano Beach. And I've already been on the phone this morning with people about doing commercial reupholstery, because that's the industry that I was in while I was in prison, working for Pride Enterprises. And
Tell
I
me
did
about that.
real estate before.
So it's interesting, just so I have a good understanding. I think sometimes we have no idea. Like, I mean, I have no idea. I have no idea what prison is like at all. But I know from watching the stories, like, you were well behaved. You told me you actually worked. You had access to computers a lot. So,
Right.
were you able to kind of continue to, I don't know if it was further your education or your skills, so can you kind of just give me a glimpse into that?
I mean, yeah, as far as, when it really started, it was a lot of those opportunities were, I took advantage of, were because of the goal I had at the time. When I first got in there, I got heavily involved in the law. because that was kind of important. I didn't like the way that I was being, with what I had gotten due to the law. So it was time for me to start understanding and see if there was a way that I could do something with that. So I went and I trained and I learned, and I became a certified law clerk and the whole deal. Went down that road and filed some things in the court, and I went back to court, and and then from there it developed into more of when I came back, and that didn't work, and it was really really should have, but I started to see a different perspective and then the development of spiritual life. And then in 2014, I was contacted while I was at Gulf CI, and they asked me if I wanted to come to Polk CI down here and be a part of the Pride program, which is it's like a work training program. It's a not-for-profit industry that works inside the prison system and provides job training and education, and for us it's a place to go to get away from the drudgery of every day. And you make a little bit of money there. It's embarrassingly little, but it's to us it's something, and helps us to alleviate the strain on our families and stuff like that financially. And it does provide legitimate employment and training opportunities. And if you apply yourself, there's certainly a significant amount of stuff that you can learn and apply. And I started off doing working down on the floor and doing a lot of doing reupholstery and woodworking, and learning how to sew, and learning actually how to do furniture. And then from there, I went and I joined or got involved with the engineering department and started working on the CAD software and designing furniture and doing marketing, and doing build instructions and utilizing the equipment in the building. And then from there, it kind of developed then also into like operations management and sales, and coordinating services and communicating with customers. And it really just was a progressive thing that that was something that I wanted to do. I always like to wherever I'm at, whatever I'm doing, I'm always in my mind I'm always training for my boss's job and their boss's job, because it's exciting to me. I like to stay engaged in learning, and the more I understand about it, the more that I can contribute and the more that I can bring to the table to try to move things along. So doing that, the Pride program's unique in that's actually a possibility.
Yeah, so
Otherwise,
all of
everything is
that was
very.
all of that was for the prison itself, like everything that you did or worked for was through the prison system.
Well, it's certainly in the prison system, but Pride Enterprises operates inside of the prison system, and it's a not-for-profit program that is for inmate training and education and career development. They provide transition services and certifications. I got folders and stacks full of all these certifications for all over the place or whatever, and it really gives people an opportunity to transition out of prison and not come back, and give them a legitimate shot, give them a head start. And of every program in the prison, it's by far the most effective. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hands down. It's not even really, nothing's really even close to it.
Okay.
And
well, that's
and
amazing.
so it's
Yeah, that's amazing that you were able to do that, and now maybe apply some of those skills to this next chapter. And
absolutely. I mean, it's provided almost a seamless transition. I really kind of feel like I'm still doing the same thing, but now I don't have to go through anybody to do it.
yeah, now do you foresee yourself kind of maybe staying or helping inmates, or maybe being a counselor in that regard? Do you see yourself ever in that kind of role?
Yeah, I mean, that's those types of things are very important to me. I was involved in doing those things while I was in, because you got a lot of younger guys or people that didn't really have a lot of opportunity, and ones that just have never really seen it from a different perspective that could benefit them. They don't understand that some of the energies they're putting into some things aren't helping them, and that same energy applied in the right area would make a tremendous difference in their life. And in that, there's going to be certain restrictions, as far as DOC and former inmate and coming back in and stuff like that, time limits and restrictions and restraints. But until those opportunities to actually do it in person, there's going to be a lot of other things. Throughout this journey, I've been in contact with a lot of prison advocacy groups and people that are there for support. And so working with those, that's a very exciting thing to me as well, is getting in those, I'm in contact with those people already, and offering up my services and telling, listen, this isn't some obligatory thing. Like, I feel like I have to do this. I want to do this. Please don't shut me out of doing this. Call me, if you're just have a fleeting thought and you thought I might be able to provide some insight or some feedback, or you just need an ear for somebody to talk to, call me, contact me, email me, whatever it is, because I want to continue to use my experience to try to help and assist and provide and be a contributor to a system that has some problems.
For sure. I think my last two questions for you is that, what would you say is the biggest thing that maybe would surprise people about prison, whether it's the inmates themselves or, something that you didn't expect, or I don't know, something that could maybe give people an important perspective?
I think one thing that people will be shocked about prison, or it's not what they think. It's not my experiences in there. And I didn't go to a lot of different institutions, but I went to a couple of them, and I went to some that, were kind of deemed the bad ones. And then, one that, is kind of, not so bad or whatever, but, they're really not full of the type of people that most would think. There are certainly people in there that legitimately probably should never see the light of day again, but there's a whole lot of people that sincerely deserve a second chance. And there's also a lot of it just has to do with people that just don't know anything different and haven't really gotten the help that they need. And it's, I say that the biggest thing that I noticed in there, what I found out, is that most of them are in there because of just emotional immaturity. And that's kind of sad, because it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. And depression or inability to handle and cope with different situations leads to drugs, and I got to support my drug habit, so I steal, and now I'm in prison, and now I'm cut off from people more, and I don't have any outlet to deal with it, and it's just a recurring cycle, and they never deal with it. They never get over those things, or it manifests itself into violence. I can't, and that's the thing, is that they need help. They need services. They need the pressure that they get put on them doesn't need to be to conform. It needs to be to learn and understand themselves, and to find a different way. And one thing's for sure is, I think that the easiest thing in prison to do should be to improve and better yourself, and the hardest thing should be to continue on the same path. And unfortunately, that's not what it is. And I think that the perception that is from the public is beginning to change, because it's almost rare now to find someone that doesn't know someone that's been impacted by the system. And we don't want to be the bleeding heart, everybody should be out of there, we shouldn't even have this in our system, we should never have these types of things. Not true. But we also shouldn't say that everybody in there is this or that. We shouldn't lump everybody together. We shouldn't create systems or programs that say you're not a real person anymore, you're a number, and just we're just incarcerating you and warehousing. And it's like, these are people that will be your neighbors soon, or they'll be. And so why is it that we have to treat it like all the way up to the time you walk out the gate, you're just less than, and then as soon as you get on the other side of the gate, it's all about, oh, hey, so happy to have you back. Well, where's the period of time where it says the transition period there? that says, hey, let's start getting you more in tune with interacting with people on a personable level, and developing, and
No, it's such a no. I mean, your perspective is so, I mean, it's such a good point. And criminal justice reform has definitely been at the forefront, the last 4 years or so. And there's been a lot of improvements, and a lot of, a lot of politicians are getting behind that, and a lot of advocacy groups. So, hopefully the right changes will happen sooner than later. What was it like, I know obviously you followed the news to a certain extent, but to get out, and now you're walking into a global pandemic. Did that have any, I mean, what was your take on that?
It was, luckily this wasn't like really in the height of it. So as things have tapered off and the vaccinations have come out, really besides coming out, and people, in certain places I go, whatever, the mask thing and stuff like that, it hasn't been the impact I'm sure that most other people experienced. So luckily for me, it was that, because I had a whole lot of people I needed to see and talk to, and and I want to give them hugs, and be around them and interact with them. So luckily for me, it's been on the backside of that. But this is for most people, this is a different world. But for me, yeah, it is. But I don't really know what that one was like that they're missing so bad, because to me, this is just what it is. This is, I left a different world to come to this. And so theirs might be, well, things are so restricted. I'm saying restrictions. These aren't restrictions.
It's a good point. So Erik, I think the last thing I will ask you, just so you put it in your words, you were the mandatory minimum, the sentencing was 20 years, and you served 14. So in your words, how did you get out this Saturday? What happened?
Well, it was, it was the efforts of a lot of people. And I think when it came down to it, it was public outcry that the people that could make a difference did, and they saw it was wrong, and they did the right thing. They did the right thing, and they brought it to a close, and they got me reunited with my family. And to all those people, I'm eternally grateful to, and I look forward to reconnecting with those people as well. And it's been, you guys have been instrumental in that as well. And so, there's a big thanks to countless people. I'd be afraid to start naming them, because I know I'd leave out more than I even know the names of. So it's been fantastic, and it's an instance where it got another look, and they did the right thing.